Welcome, my friend, to a gentle journey under the sea. Tonight, we'll drift down to Bikini Bottom, that quirky little underwater town we know and love, and uncover some of its hidden secrets in a calm, soothing storytelling style. Get cozy, close your eyes if you like, and imagine the soft glow of bioluminescent coral lighting our way. In this relaxing monologue, we'll explore light and intriguing lore from SpongeBob SquarePants. The tone will be peaceful and playful, with subtle humor and no frights, perfect for falling asleep. So, let's take a slow, calming dive into Bikini Bottom's hidden secrets. Are you ready? Here we go. Beneath the pineapple, SpongeBob's little-known facts. Let's start with the star of the show, SpongeBob SquarePants himself. Even the most enthusiastic fans might not know some of these gentle trivia tidbits about our favorite sponge. For instance, did you know SpongeBob actually has a canonical birthday? In the episode Sleepy Time, we catch a quick glimpse of SpongeBob's driver's license, which clearly shows his date of birth as July 14th, 1906. This little Easter egg means that as of now, SpongeBob is almost 40 years old, an older millennial under the sea. Of course, he doesn't act today over a goofy, optimistic teenager. Cartoon logic, right? On that license, we also see SpongeBob is only 4 inches tall, reminding us that all the characters are actually tiny sea creatures in reality. But in his vibrant underwater world, SpongeBob lives like an adult. He has his own pineapple house, a full-time job, and even pays taxes, despite his childlike enthusiasm for life. It's a fun paradox that makes Bikini Bottom feel both whimsical and oddly realistic. Another fun secret about SpongeBob: he might love driving, but fate doesn't love him back. Throughout the series, poor SpongeBob fails his boat driving test countless times. Whenever he does get a license, even in dreams, something always snatches it away. In fact, even though we saw his license in Sleepy Time, that was just a dream sequence, not a real license. And in another episode, No Free Rides, when SpongeBob briefly obtains a license, it's quickly revoked by the chaos that ensues. As a result, SpongeBob remains one of Bikini Bottom's most enthusiastic boating school students perpetually. It's as if the universe says, "This sweet sponge isn't meant to drive." And maybe that's for the best. Given the mayhem he can cause on the road, remember him joyously shouting, "Look out, Bikini Bottom, there's a new driver on the road, SpongeBob SquarePants," and the chaos that followed. We can chuckle at that image, but in our cozy bedtime story, we'll keep it low-key. SpongeBob's misadventures behind the wheel are more silly than scary. And in the end, Mrs. Puff and the town always survive to see another day. Speaking of Mrs. Puff, SpongeBob's driving teacher, let's gently sail over to some secrets about her next. But for now, take a slow breath and imagine SpongeBob tucked in his pineapple bed, sleeping soundly, probably with sweet dreams of flipping Krabby Patties. We'll leave him be for a moment and peek into the lives of his friends and neighbors, unveiling secrets as softly as the light of a jellyfish's glow. Mrs. Puff's past. A mysterious new start. Now we float over to Mrs. Puff's boating school, a tranquil little spot by the kelp forest where Mrs. Puff teaches boating over and over to our pal SpongeBob. Mrs. Puff is a kindly, if nervous, pufferfish who inflates when stressed, which, unfortunately, happens a lot thanks to SpongeBob's driving. But beneath her patient teacher persona, Mrs. Puff carries a secret past that the show only hints at quietly, in brief moments of reflection. In the episode No Free Rides, after an especially explosive incident where SpongeBob essentially destroys half of Bikini Bottom during a driving mishap, oops, Mrs. Puff has a telling monologue. Shaken by the catastrophe, she muses to herself, "What have I done? Everyone will know I let him slide through school. I'll have to move to a new city, start a new boating school with a new name. No, not again. Not again. Such a small phrase, but it reveals so much. It implies that Mrs. Puff has done exactly that before, moved to Bikini Bottom and adopted a new identity. The gentle fish lady has reinvented herself at least once, possibly because of some past accident or misfortune in another town. We're never given all the details. After all, this is a light-hearted cartoon, but the hints are intriguing. Mrs. Puff's tone in that scene is comedic desperation. Imagine her wide-eyed and sweating as she contemplates going on the run from SpongeBob's driving record. While played for laughs, it suggests a backstory. Perhaps in her old town, a student driver, much like SpongeBob, caused chaos, and Mrs. Puff had to flee the notoriety. Maybe her name isn't even really Puff. Fans have wildly speculated about this. There's even a humorous theory that she was once known as Mrs. Puffy Diddy, or some other alias in a faraway place like New Kelp City, but that veers into wacky fan fiction. What's presented on screen is subtle and not too dark. Just the idea that this kindly teacher has a secret identity in her past, which she's tried to leave behind. Adding to the lore, a SpongeBob comic book, for those who dive deeper into official SpongeBob media, once cheekily depicted Mrs. Puff as having been a bit of a troublemaker herself, allegedly even robbing banks in her youth while wearing a ski mask, if you can believe it. It's hard to imagine the polite Mrs. Puff involved in crime, so take that with a grain of sea salt. It might be a tongue-in-cheek story. In the show, the most we see is her donning a black ski mask in the dead of night to boat nap. SpongeBob's new vehicle, in the same episode, as a desperate attempt to keep him off the streets for everyone's safety. It's a funny scene. She inflates, sneaks around like a bandit, and tries to literally steal SpongeBob's boat to stop him from driving. Of course, SpongeBob thinks she's a boatjacker, and a ridiculous chase ensues. Ultimately, poor Mrs. Puff lands in jail again for that stunt. Here's another cozy bit of trivia. Mrs. Puff actually enjoys jail to some extent because it means time away from SpongeBob's driving. She's seen humming contentedly in her jail cell in one episode, considering it a break, but the universe won't let her rest. At the end of No Free Rides, SpongeBob innocently tells her that the prison warden agreed to let her out early if she'll do them one favor: teach SpongeBob free driving lessons as community service. Oh, Neptune, she can't escape him. Even the warden seems to conspire to keep Mrs. Puff teaching SpongeBob, almost like someone wants her to suffer, in a soft, comedic way. We won't delve into the darker fan theories, like a certain elaborate one involving a vengeful warden and mind control. That's way too intense for bedtime. Suffice it to say, Mrs. Puff's life is an ongoing soft mystery in Bikini Bottom. She's a sweet soul with a possibly complicated past, longing for a peaceful life that SpongeBob's antics rarely allow. Next time you see her nervously hand out a driving test, know that behind that forced smile is a fish who's seen some stuff and just wants to avoid blowing up, literally and figuratively. As we float away from the boating school, give a little wave to Mrs. Puff, but gently, don't startle her. She'll exhale in relief as we leave. Perhaps now she can sip some tea and enjoy a quiet evening, at least until the next driving class. Eugene Krabs, more than a cheapskate. Our undersea journey drifts on, and now we peer through the window of a familiar anchor-shaped house. Here lives Eugene H. Krabs, owner of the Krusty Krab and lover of money. Mr. Krabs is often portrayed as a comical penny pincher, sleeping in bed with money under his mattress and an orchestra of world's smallest violins at the ready. But beyond the gags, Mr. Krabs has his own hidden corners of lore that are quite endearing and some a bit bizarre. First, Let's talk about that mattress secret. If you ever wondered where Mr. Krabs keeps the Krabby Patty secret formula when he's not at work, an early episode gives an answer: under his mattress at home. In the episode Plankton's Army, Squidward casually reveals that the fabled secret formula bottle is stashed beneath Mr. Krabs' mattress at home. Apparently, Mr. Krabs trusts his lumpy mattress more than any high-tech safe. Indeed, throughout the series, the formula's hiding place moves around. Sometimes it's in the safe at the Krusty Krab, other times not. But the idea of Mr. Krabs literally sleeping on the formula, like a dragon on its hoard, is a delightful image. One can imagine him snoring happily on that lumpy mattress, comforted by the knowledge that the formula and a few dollar bills are right under him. Mr. Krabs wasn't always a rich restaurateur. In fact, he grew up relatively poor and has a heart-warming rags-to-riches backstory. As shown in the special Friend or Foe, young Krabs was once best friends with none other than Plankton. Yes, the very Plankton who is now his arch-rival. They were classmates and dreamed of going into business together. After a falling out involving a failed burger recipe and a food fight, the two pals split, and that's how the Krusty Krab and the Chum Bucket were born as rival restaurants. In that backstory, we also learn that the Krabby Patty recipe was accidentally invented by Mr. Krabs, with a minor indirect assist from Plankton. How? The show implies that in the heat of their feud, some ingredients got mixed perfectly, and Mr. Krabs ended up with the secret formula, a stroke of lucky happenstance that changed his fortune. It's a soft lore detail that casual viewers might not know. Mr. Krabs and Plankton actually co-created the formula in a way, but Krabs kept it and built an empire on it. Perhaps that's one reason Plankton is so bitter. Not just business rivalry, but a lost friendship and a shared history. Beyond business, Mr. Krabs has hints of a rich personal life. Did you know he's a Navy veteran? He sure is. The show slips in references to Mr. Krabs' military past occasionally. In Grandpappy the Pirate and other episodes, Mr. Krabs proudly dons a Navy uniform or reminisces about his days sailing the seas. He keeps a rusty old Navy chest and at one point even says, "I didn't go through boot camp for nothing," with that signature gravelly pride. This adds a subtle depth. Envision a young Krabs on a naval ship. Perhaps that's where he developed his affection for sailor talk, like shouting "Mother of Pearl" as an expletive, which is cute since Pearl is his daughter's name, but we'll get to Pearl in a moment. Mr. Krabs' love of order, uniforms, and of course, treasure all make sense if you imagine him as a former sailor with a touch of pirate spirit. According to one description, Mr. Krabs was in the Navy and loves everything about being a pirate. He even keeps pirate costumes around. It's part of why his granddaughter, okay, just kidding, his daughter Pearl, not granddaughter, finds him embarrassing at times. Ah, Pearl Krabs. She's definitely one of Bikini Bottom's mysteries. A teenage whale who calls a crab daddy. How does that work? This is a question that fans have joked about for 2 decades. The show itself never explicitly explains why Mr. Krabs' daughter is a whale. However, the official trivia book and Steven Hillenburg, the series creator, do give a straightforward answer. Pearl takes after her mother, who was also a whale. Mr. Krabs apparently fell in love with a whale at some point, and Pearl was their child. Sadly, Pearl's mother is never seen in the show. Hillenburg intentionally kept her absent, and even said he was against revealing her identity, preferring to leave a bit of mystery SpongeBob.fandom.com. So, while casual viewers might scratch their heads at the biology, deep down it's a simple and sweet inference. Pearl is Mr. Krabs' biological daughter, and her mum, Mrs. Krabs, was a whale. In the family line, that makes sense. She inherited her mother's massive stature and her father's... Well, actually, Pearl didn't get much from Mr. Krabs physically, thank goodness, A whale with crab claws would be an odd sight, but she did inherit his high-decibel lungs. That girl can squeal when excited, and perhaps a bit of his personality. Pearl has a big heart like her dad, though she's not money-obsessed. Instead, she's a typical oceanic teenager, into boys who are in boy bands and the latest coral lipstick. Pearl and Mr. Krabs have some cute lore tidbits. Pearl calls Squidward Uncle Squiddy sometimes, implying that Squidward is such a fixture at the Krusty Krab that he's like family. And Mr. Krabs can perfectly imitate Pearl's voice, a random talent he uses to scare Plankton in one episode. More on that in a moment when we talk Plankton. Mr. Krabs is extremely protective of Pearl when it comes to boys or dating, to comedic effect. He once yelled, "Stay away from me, daughter," at SpongeBob, startling both SpongeBob and Pearl, when in fact he was talking to an actual flower in his yard. Overprotective dad energy indeed. But beneath his gruff, greedy exterior, Mr. Krabs is a loving single father who wants the best for his precious Pearlie. It's a side of him we see in episodes like Whale of a Birthday, where he struggles and hilariously fails to give Pearl a cheap but satisfying birthday party, only to learn he should just spend on what makes her happy. These soft family moments are hidden gems in the series. One more hidden secret of Mr. Krabs, and this one is on the sillier side. He exploited Plankton's fear of whales in a devious way. Classic Krabs. Plankton, being a tiny plankton, is naturally terrified of whales. In real ocean ecology, whales eat plankton. The show plays with this. Whenever Pearl looms over Plankton, he shrieks and flees for his life. In the episode One Course Meal, Mr. Krabs discovers this phobia and decides to dress up as Pearl in a very unconvincing whale costume to scare Plankton out of his wits. Picture that. Mr. Krabs, a stout crab, somehow squeezing into a big foam whale suit, doing a high-pitched Pearl voice, which he masters uncannily well, and popping up around corners to say boo to Plankton. It's both cruel and comical. The secret here is that Mr. Krabs not only knows Plankton's deepest fear, but also can mimic his own daughter's voice perfectly to capitalize on it. Talk about psychological warfare on a small scale. Don't worry, this storyline doesn't end too darkly. Plankton gets some revenge eventually, and Mr. Krabs learns a little lesson about going too far. In our dreamy narration, we'll just imagine Plankton tucking himself in at night with a nightlight, looking over his tiny shoulder for whale shadows. And somewhere, a guilty Mr. Krabs stores the whale suit in a closet, feeling a teensy bit bad. As we leave Mr. Krabs' anchor house, we might hear a soft sound of snoring. Or is that the creaking of floorboards under that mattress where the formula rests? Shh, we won't disturb him. Mr. Krabs hugs his money like a teddy bear, Pearl hugs her plush clam doll, and all is well in their home. Onward we go, across the street to that eerie-looking dark building, the Chum Bucket, where more secrets await. The Chum Bucket Lab, Plankton's hidden world. The Chum Bucket sits under the night sky with an air of neglect, no customers lining up, as usual, just a lonely building with a grinning bucket for a roof. Inside, however, is a world of secret plots and hidden rooms that casual visitors never see. This is the domain of Sheldon J. Plankton and his sentient computer wife Karen. Plankton might be tiny, but his secret lair is sprawling, mostly hidden underground, beneath the Chum Bucket. Picture this. You enter the Chum Bucket's ground floor and find it nearly empty, just a few tables and a counter, gloomy and grey from lack of use. But press the right button, or, knowing Plankton, the wrong button by accident, and whoosh, a trapdoor opens, leading to Plankton's basement laboratory. Down there, it's like a mad scientist's dream. There are giant computer screens, cooking contraptions, test tubes bubbling with strange concoctions of chum, and numerous inventions that Plankton has built to try to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. This hidden lab is Plankton's pride and joy, even if his plans always comically backfire. In fact, the very first episode that introduced Plankton from Season 1, gave us a glimpse of this secret lab and one of its most surreal secrets. When Plankton lures SpongeBob into the chum bucket for the first time, he shows off the back room and declares, "This is my lab," and then steps into another area saying, "And this is my laboratory." What do we see on the enormous screen in Plankton's lab? A live-action Labrador retriever barking. Yes, you heard that right. Plankton's lab is literally a lab, as in Labrador dog, SpongeBob. Fandom.com. It was a clever pun by the show creators, an unexpected live-action cameo of a dog representing Plankton's laboratory pet. The dog's name, per the episode's end credits, is Alex, and it's happily barking on the screen as if it somehow helps Plankton with his experiments. It's one of those blink-and-you-miss-it jokes that deeper fans cherish. So, in Plankton's hidden lair, not only do we have computers and weapons, we apparently have a pet dog who somehow can't breathe underwater, but is displayed via video, living in a suburban above-water area. Chalk that up as one of Bikini Bottom's delightful absurdities. Perhaps Plankton gets lonely and finds comfort in watching his pet Labrador remotely. Who knew the little green villain had a soft side for dogs? Plankton's basement lab has been the site of many a wild scheme. One recurring evil gadget is the chum bucket mind control helmet. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Plankton finally succeeds, briefly, in ruling Bikini Bottom by forcing bucket helmets onto everyone's heads, enslaving them with mind control. He even plops a giant one on King Neptune, quite ambitious for a single-celled organism. In the series episode, Welcome to the Chum Bucket, he also tries a variant of this scheme by strapping a mind control bucket on SpongeBob. That one, fortunately, didn't work. SpongeBob's pure brain must have too much absorbency. But one hidden secret, the chum bucket basement floor was littered with these helmets during Plankton's attempts. In a later adventure, there's even a moment in Plankton's mock movie where one of those helmets accidentally lands on SpongeBob's head in the lab, causing him to mimic its mind control effects like a zombie. Not to worry, it's played for laughs. SpongeBob stiffly marches around saying "Obey Plankton" in a monotone until he snaps out of it. The idea that beneath the humble chum bucket diner lies an armory of brainwashing helmets is a fun secret. If a curious Bikini Bottomite ever wandered down there, oh my, they'd run right back out. Another hidden area is the chum bucket's robotic workshops. Plankton has built a veritable junkyard of robots in his quest for the formula. Deep in the basement, we've seen things like a giant tank robot sitting idle, or his infamous WIN, Want It Need It machine that nearly pulverized the Krusty Krab. And of course, Karen, his computer wife, often resides on a mobile robot body rolling around. In one episode, Plankton even opens a secret side venture called the Chum Caverns, discovering a beautiful underground cave right under the chum bucket and the Krusty Krab, and deciding to turn it into an attraction. The Chum Caverns, a hidden underground grotto. This is a lesser-known gem. In the episode aptly named Chum Caverns, Plankton accidentally falls into a secret underground cave beneath Bikini Bottom. Far below the city's surface, he finds a vast cavern filled with glowing rocks, an underground lake, and unique bioluminescent flora, a natural wonderland right under everyone's feet. Plankton is awestruck by its beauty. Ever the entrepreneur, Karen suggests he turn it into a tourist attraction to finally get customers interested in the chum bucket. And so he does. Plankton decorates the cave with lights and opens the Chum Caverns restaurant, accessible through a deep tunnel. Lo and behold, it works. The citizens of Bikini Bottom flock to see the gorgeous cave and, while there, try Plankton's chum. Apparently dining in a pretty cave makes chum taste better. For a shining moment, Plankton has more customers than Mr. Krabs. The Chum Caverns segment is full of fun secrets. Mr. Krabs, not to be outdone, drags a grill down into the cave to sell Krabby Patties there, leading to an underground business war. We also meet strange new creatures called cave dwellers, fish adapted to living in darkness, whom Plankton tames and employs as staff. And importantly, Plankton discovers where Mr. Krabs was hiding the formula at that time, under the Krusty Krab's floorboards, which Plankton spied on via a periscope that extended from the chum bucket to the Krusty Krab's chimney. Yes, Plankton literally had a periscope poking into Mr. Krabs's office through his chimney. Talk about a secret eye on the enemy. That's another little secret. Bikini Bottom is so small that Plankton could physically tunnel or extend devices right to his rival's place. In Chum Caverns, when Mr. Krabs trips over a loose floorboard and reveals where he hid the formula, Plankton is shown watching through his giant telescope periscope contraption, chuckling and taking notes. This espionage tech is rarely mentioned, but it's a neat bit of lore. Plankton's got secret tunnels and spy equipment all over. Ultimately, the Chum Caverns storyline ends with typical chaos. Plankton and Mr. Krabs' feud causes the cave to collapse a bit, trapping them briefly. SpongeBob saves them, the cave gets sealed off, and everyone goes back to business as usual on the surface. Mr. Krabs and Plankton even share a rare heartfelt moment when they think they're stuck together, promising to cooperate, though of course, once free, they're back to being rivals. Still, for a short time, Bikini Bottom had a spectacular hidden tourist attraction, a magical cavern below town. It makes you wonder, what other hidden locations lie beneath the streets? Perhaps ancient pirate treasure? Or a giant sea monster taking a nap? In Bikini Bottom, anything's possible and usually played for laughs. Let's quietly exit the chum bucket now, stepping past a sleeping Karen, her screensaver blinking softly, zzz, and a snoring Plankton. Even villains need their beauty rest. Our next stop is a place of legends and myths where the very fabric of Bikini Bottom's reality gets a little loose, perfect for dreamy contemplation. Legends and myths of Bikini Bottom. Bikini Bottom isn't just a simple town. It has its legends, mysteries, and even supernatural secrets that emerge in various episodes, always with a light-hearted twist. Now, under the soft glow of the moon and the gentle sound of kelp swaying, let's delve into a few of these legends. Don't worry, nothing too spooky here, just intriguing and whimsical tales from the ocean floor. The Bikini Bottom Triangle. You've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, where ships mysteriously disappear above the waves. Well, Bikini Bottom has its own version, the Bikini Bottom Triangle. This is an undersea region shrouded in mist and mystery, introduced in the episode Welcome to the Bikini Bottom Triangle. According to lore, sometimes a strange fog rolls into Bikini Bottom, and the enchanting voices of mermaids can be heard singing eerily. Anyone or anything that follows the siren song might vanish without a trace, taken into the triangle. In that episode, various items, and even people, go missing overnight when the fog descends. SpongeBob wakes up to find his alarm clock gone, Gary's shell gone. Poor naked snail, though the show tastefully covers him with a towel. Squidward's clarinet missing. That one actually might be a relief for his neighbours. And even Mr. Krabs himself disappears. It turns out they were all snatched into the Bikini Bottom triangle, which is revealed to be a hidden island where 5 mermaids live. These mermaids have a peculiar hobby. They sing to surround themselves with cool new stuff by vacuuming up objects from Bikini Bottom whenever they feel like redecorating. So the triangle isn't a sinister death trap. It's basically the mermaids' way of shopping. They use a giant magical vacuum that opens in the sky when they sing, pulling in whatever catches their fancy. When SpongeBob and friends get sucked into this triangle realm, they find Mr. Krabs happily swimming in piles of junk like Scrooge McDuck. He thinks he's in a resellable treasure paradise. Squidward and Pearl enjoy a little vacation too. Squidward actually relaxes, and Pearl finds there's a mall. It's one of those, the mystery isn't scary, it's just weirdly bureaucratic kind of resolutions. The mermaids simply didn't care that their actions were causing worry back in town. Eventually, SpongeBob convinces them to sing their song backwards to return everything to where it belongs, undoing the mischief. And indeed, when the mermaids belt out a reverse melody, all the stolen items and folks get gently spit back to Bikini Bottom, safe and sound. The Bikini Bottom triangle is a fun secret locale because it confirms that mermaids exist in SpongeBob's world. And they are sassy and a bit self-centered, not malicious. It also shows Bikini Bottom has unexplained phenomena similar to our real-world legends, but always resolved with a wink. If you're ever in Bikini Bottom on a foggy night and hear distant singing, you might just want to cover your ears, unless you fancy an impromptu visit to a mermaid hoarder's island of knickknacks. Interestingly, in the same spirit, there's mention of a Dutchman's Triangle and of Davy Jones's locker in SpongeBob lore. The Flying Dutchman, a recurring ghostly character, a pirate ghost with a green glow and a talent for dining souls, has his own mysterious domain. Davy Jones's locker is a phrase often used in pirate lore to mean the bottom of the sea or a locker for lost souls. In SpongeBob, they played a famous gag where Davy Jones's locker was literally portrayed as a gym locker containing none other than Davy Jones, the singer from the Monkees, who appears and sings, causing the Flying Dutchman to scream in horror and flee. It's wonderfully absurd and not at all scary once you see it, a classic SpongeBob subversion of a ghost story. So even the spooky elements, like the Flying Dutchman's realm, are treated with humour. Whenever the Flying Dutchman shows up, it's an opportunity for light-hearted lore. For example, the Dutchman has a secret lair, a ghostly pirate ship, and an underworld that SpongeBob and Patrick once visited in the episode Shanghaied. In that episode, they end up in the Flying Dutchman's eerie ship, complete with a bottomless perfume department, a funny hellish punishment, spraying stinky perfumes forever. Ultimately, our heroes escape by wishing on the Dutchman's magic lamp, after some very silly wishes. One secret from that episode's end: the Flying Dutchman gets trapped in a bottled message, literally stuck in a letter in a bottle, and sent to the mail sorting department of Davy Jones's locker, where the actual Davy Jones sings and scares him. It's a fever dream of a story, but it establishes a playful afterlife lore. Apparently, Davy Jones's locker is a real place in this world, and it has filing cabinets and maybe 8-track tapes of the Monkees' greatest hits. Who knew? Atlantis, the lost city, revealed from mermaid magic to another legendary locale, Atlantis. In our world, Atlantis is a mythic lost city. In SpongeBob's world, it actually exists, and the gang visits it in the TV special Atlantis Square Pantis. The road to Atlantis starts with an ancient Atlantean amulet that SpongeBob and Patrick find in a cave. They reassemble the amulet, accidentally, with the last piece being a ping-pong ball of all things, and it summons a magical bus that takes them, along with Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and Plankton, straight to the gates of Atlantis. Atlantis, in SpongeBob, is a sparkling advanced city full of gold and technology. Its ruler is Lord Royal Highness, voiced by none other than David Bowie in the special, a fun fact itself. Now, casual fans might not realize Bowie's character design is that of a tall, goofy-looking Atlantean with a big gem on his head. In the show, Atlantis is portrayed as the source of a lot of Bikini Bottom's myths. They have the oldest living bubble kept in a museum. They have advanced bubble-shaping weaponry, which Plankton ogles as potential weapons. And Squidward is delighted to see Atlantean art and culture, finally refined taste. The hidden secret here is how the special ends. Patrick pops the oldest bubble in Atlantis' museum, of course he does, causing a catastrophic goo explosion that forces our friends to flee the city. Yes, Atlantis might be technologically superior, but they hadn't invented a way to keep Patrick from touching the exhibits. The gang leaves amid the chaos, and the episode humorously pretends it was all a song in Patchy the Pirate's imagination, breaking the fourth wall. So, in a way, Atlantis appears and then is lost again, maybe on purpose, after that disaster. While Atlantis itself isn't revisited much, the idea that it's out there, a grand, hidden city, adds depth to SpongeBob's world. Fans know that beyond the map of Bikini Bottom, out in the big blue sea, there's an Atlantis, a far-off rock-bottom city, more on that soon, and possibly other undersea civilizations. It makes the SpongeBob universe feel like a small part of a larger oceanic tapestry. For a sleep-time narrative, just imagine swimming through an ancient Atlantean hallway, all quiet and echoing, with glowing jellyfish illuminating mosaics on the walls. Peaceful, eh? Just watch out for stray bubbles. Jellyfish Fields, the buzzing meadow of secrets. Now let's come closer to home again, to a location just on the outskirts of Bikini Bottom that we all recognize, Jellyfish Fields. By day, it's a sunny meadow of gently swaying sea anemones and rolling green hills of algae. Pink jellyfish float lazily through the water, buzzing with their soft electric hum. SpongeBob and Patrick love to spend afternoons here jellyfishing, which is basically catch and release butterfly hunting, but with jellyfish and big nets. It seems simple, but Jellyfish Fields holds its own subtle secrets and wonders. For one, the jellyfish in Bikini Bottom are more than just squishy creatures. They have a culture of sorts. In various episodes we see hints of a jellyfish society. There's the queen jellyfish, a big blue jellyfish with a crown-like head that appears when her subjects are disturbed. There's even a legendary king jellyfish mentioned. In video games and such, he's a large king that SpongeBob fights by jellyfishing naturally. These royal jellies suggest a whole hierarchy among the jellyfish that the casual beachgoer wouldn't suspect. Then there's the product they make, jellyfish jelly. It's a glowing golden substance that jellyfish produce somewhere in their goopy bodies, and it's delicious on toast or Krabby Patties. In the episode Jellyfish Hunter, SpongeBob introduces Mr. Krabs to the idea of a jelly patty, a Krabby Patty with jelly spread on it, and customers love it. This leads to Mr. Krabs' short-lived scheme of farming jellyfish for their jelly, which we touched on earlier when discussing Krabs' misdeeds. The secret here is that jellyfish jelly is basically treated like a gourmet ingredient in Bikini Bottom. It's like honey to us, sweet, coveted, and obtained from a creature, bees for honey, jellyfish for jelly. Mr. Krabs' attempt to commodify it ended cruelly. He captured hundreds of jellyfish and milked them for jelly, locking them in cages in a secret back room of the Krusty Krab. When SpongeBob discovered this, it was a shock. The usually jovial fry cook looked around at the dark room of drained jellyfish and uttered a dismayed, "You tricked me, Mr. Krabs." The confrontation escalated until SpongeBob heroically freed the poor jellyfish. They then promptly stung Mr. Krabs en masse, a deserved sting operation, and flew free, disappearing back to jellyfish fields. And Mr. Krabs, repentant and singed, took jelly patties off the menu. So, Jellyfish Fields holds the secret of a natural treasure, jelly, that even the greedy crabs learned not to exploit. In a relaxing context, we can imagine the jellyfish back in their habitat after that ordeal, floating happily under the moonlight, glowing faintly. Perhaps they even remember SpongeBob as the one who freed them. He's sort of a jellyfish whisperer after all. He keeps a jellyfish as a pet in one episode and has dance parties with jellyfish in another. Jellyfish Fields might also hide other curiosities. It spans a huge area, possibly containing caves, like where that amulet piece of Atlantis was found, and mystery spots. In the episode Nature Pants, SpongeBob tries to live among the jellyfish as a wild creature for a while, hinting that jellyfish fields at night might have a whole unseen nightlife of sea critters. One more jellyfish field secret, the magic conch shell. In Club SpongeBob, SpongeBob, Patrick and Squidward get lost deep in kelp forest, adjacent to jellyfish fields. They have a magic conch, a toy that SpongeBob and Patrick treat like an oracle. You pull the string, ask it a question, and it gives simplistic answers. In a series of events that frustrate Squidward to no end, the magic conch's advice, like do nothing, miraculously leads them to be saved by a park ranger who finds them. The ranger is part of the Magic Conch Shell Club too, and obeys its commands without question. It's a silly parody of Lord of the Flies, but it leaves a whimsical thought. Somewhere out in the wilderness of kelp forest, there's a secret club of magic conch believers, picnicking and chanting, "All hail the magic conch." Perhaps Jellyfish Fields has its own little weird cult of shell followers. Of course, that's a comedic one-off, but it adds to the feeling that these wild areas around Bikini Bottom hold quirky secrets away from the city bustle. Now, as we lie here imagining the gentle buzz of jellyfish and the rustle of kelp, let's cover one more bit of hidden lore, something that connects SpongeBob's world to our human world in a curious way. Surface connections, the real-world ties. It's easy to forget, but Bikini Bottom is actually located in the Pacific Ocean beneath Bikini Atoll, a real place in our world. The very name Bikini Bottom is a playful nod to this. Bikini Atoll, historically, was a site of nuclear weapon tests in the 1940s-50s. There's a popular fan theory that the reason the sea creatures in SpongeBob are so anthropomorphic, talking sponges, squirrels in air suits, etc., is because of radiation from those tests, a tongue-in-cheek backstory that the creators have neither confirmed nor denied explicitly, but they've dropped little Easter eggs. The island you see in the SpongeBob theme song intro, that's the real Bikini Atoll island on the surface. We often start episodes by zooming in on that tropical island and then going underwater to Bikini Bottom. It's a subtle reminder that SpongeBob's town is right beneath that specific patch of ocean. According to a piece by an anthropologist in 2019, Bikini Bottom is based on the real Bikini Atoll, and elements of nuclear history make brief appearances in episodes that few viewers likely pick up on. For example, some episodes show fishing hooks descending from above, like Hooky, which could be darkly interpreted as references to all the testing and disruption from above. though in the show it's just portrayed as dangerous amusement park rides for the fish. There was also that time in Dying for Pie where Squidward imagines an explosion so massive it obliterates SpongeBob and the city in a white flash, a direct parody of a nuclear blast, complete with a reference to the famous film of a nuke test. SpongeBob, of course, is fine, and these heavy references are made extremely cartoony to not be upsetting, but the fact they're there is intriguing. So, while we're falling asleep to Bikini Bottom lore, here's a comforting thought. In SpongeBob's universe, humanity's big scary actions, like nuclear tests, are just background noise to a cheerful sponge who flips burgers and catches jellyfish. The characters don't dwell on it. It's merely a bit of setting. Steven Hillenburg, the creator, once said he chose Bikini Bottom as a setting because of his marine biology background, and likely as a cheeky reference to the nuke tests and the bikini swimsuit, which was named after Bikini Atoll too. It's an example of SpongeBob's world having layers. A kid sees a fun pineapple under the sea. An adult might chuckle knowing the darker real history above, but see how the show transforms it into a utopia of sorts. As one article succinctly put it, Bikini Bottom's fictional home is based on an actual place in the Pacific Ocean, Bikini Atoll, the site of 23 US nuclear weapons tests. Yet, in true SpongeBob fashion, they took something scary and made a comedy out of it. No harm done in the cartoon world, just a sponge and starfish blowing bubbles. Another direct surface connection. The show occasionally breaks the fourth wall and features live-action elements, hinting that the surface world and SpongeBob's world intersect oddly. We already talked about the live-action artist with the pencil in Frankendoodle, who literally draws SpongeBob to life by accident. That suggests that somewhere above, a human is sketching away, and his dropped pencil becomes a magic wand undersea. In Patchy the Pirate segments, the host of SpongeBob specials, we see a goofy live-action pirate, Patchy, who is the president of the SpongeBob fan club and lives in the real world, yet can somehow receive mailed tapes of SpongeBob episodes and interact with cartoon characters occasionally. SpongeBob even comes to the surface in Sponge Out of Water, the second movie, and turns into a 3D figure in our world, causing delightful chaos on a beach and boardwalk. These crossovers aren't exactly canon to the show's day-to-day, but they're a fun secret. SpongeBob's reality isn't so far from ours in the whimsical sense. Maybe as you fall asleep, you might dream that if you dip your hand in the water next time you're at the beach, you just might feel a tiny sponge high-fiving you. And let's not forget the most meta secret of all. In one episode, SpongeBob and Patrick purchase a big screen TV just to play in its box. When Squidward, driven by curiosity, hops into the box later, he experiences a wild make-believe adventure, complete with sound effects. How? It's implied SpongeBob and Patrick's imagination is so strong that it manifested experiences for Squidward too. Or perhaps it was just in Squidward's head. When Squidward finally gives up and leaves, we see that a pair of realistic human hands reach in to close the box, a surreal gag symbolizing maybe the hand of the artist or just a non sequitur. Those human hands pop up in SpongeBob sometimes, often labeled as Hans in transcripts humorously. For instance, a realistic hand will scrub SpongeBob in one episode, or serve as a visual gag. It's like the show reminding us an animator or puppet master is just beyond the frame, a light-hearted secret nod that we are watching a crafted show and anything can happen. Closing the book or treasure chest of secrets. Our gentle lore voyage is coming to an end. We've wandered through character backstories, hidden rooms, secret recipes, legendary cities, and little Easter eggs that make the world of SpongeBob so rich and delightful. By now, you might be feeling as blissfully drowsy as SpongeBob after a long jellyfishing session. Imagine now the whole town of Bikini Bottom at night. Conch Street is quiet. SpongeBob's pineapple emits a soft snore. Gary the snail purrs in his bed, dreaming of finally catching that red dot from the laser pointer. Squidward's house next door is dark. Inside, Squidward sleeps with a content half-smile, perhaps dreaming he's performing clarinet before an adoring audience. Patrick's rock is, actually, it's wide open. He fell asleep on the ground outside again, drooling, counting sea sheep in his head. Sandy's treehouse dome has its lights off. She's hibernating and dreaming of Texas rodeos and science awards. The Krusty Krab signs K's flicker faintly. Mr. Krabs refuses to replace the bulbs to save money. Out back, a few jellyfish lazily bob through jellyfish fields, their glow dotting the hills like fireflies. The lagoon is still, the Goo Lagoon, with perhaps a distant whale spout seen on the horizon. Could it be Pearl's mother's spirit, or just a passing blue whale? High above, that tiny Bikini Atoll island we see in the show's opening is also quiet, waves lapping against its shores in the moonlight. All these secrets and stories we've explored are like little cozy fires in the dark, not too bright, just warm enough to give a comforting glow. They remind us that even in a silly cartoon about a sponge, there's depth and history and mystery, but never too much darkness, always coming back to light and laughter. The creators packed Bikini Bottom with lore and jokes so that it feels alive, like somewhere you could actually visit, preferably with a water helmet on, unless you're a sea creature yourself. Before we drift off completely, let's recall one more trivial but sweet secret. SpongeBob has a favorite bedtime story. In one episode, SpongeBob can't sleep, so Patrick suggests he count jellyfish. SpongeBob does, and adorably starts naming them. 1 jellyfish, 2 jellyfish, 3, until he bores himself to sleep. Maybe we can do that too. Or recall how SpongeBob's grandma would give him warm milk and cookies to help him sleep, calling him Spongy Wongy and making him feel like a little kid, much to Squidward's gagging. Those small tender moments are as much a part of Bikini Bottom as the wild myths. Ultimately, it's a friendly place. So, as we close this transcript-style journey, imagine a kindly French narrator voice, you know the one 1 hour later, saying, "And so, our tour of Bikini Bottom's hidden secrets comes to a gentle end. The sea creatures of Bikini Bottom rest easy, their secrets tucked away like treasures in a chest, only to be discovered by those curious enough to look. May your dreams be as sweet as a Krabby Patty and as whimsical as a talking sponge." Thank you for joining this relaxing deep dive. Good night, sleep tight, and remember, the magic of Bikini Bottom will be there under the sea, whenever you need a friendly imagination to swim in.